Hi, students. It's Mr. Butch. This is our first official math lesson of the school year. We're going to start with some review concepts from last year and in prior years, even before that. Maybe back in your middle school days, we want to start with some refresher concepts, hopefully some easier concepts to start the school year off, to kind of refresh your memories. And as we get going through these lessons, feel free to pause my video, rewind, uh, take more time if you need it. The early material might be a little easier, but as the material gets tougher for each of you, make sure that you go through everything at an appropriate pace. Make sure you understand the topics, the concepts. So we're going to start here just with a review. We're going to talk about decimals, fractions, and percents. So take a minute, pause your video, get out your calculator. I said in the earlier videos we're looking for a TI-84 plus for a calculator to be used this year. It actually looks like this. So this is going to be the calculator that I'm going to be using. So pause the video, take a minute, and go ahead and answer these three questions. You can do it on a separate sheet of paper, or you can print these notes out ahead of time. Either way, the notes will always be provided in Polaris. So go ahead, take 1 minute and answer these three questions. Okay, let's go over these three questions. If you struggled, didn't know how to do anything, that's fine. That's why we're here to learn. So when I'm converting a decimal to a fraction in my calculator, it's very simple. I go to my calculator. I'm going to enter 0.728. I'm going to go to my math menu. And then I'm going to convert that to a fraction. So I'm going to hit the number 1, or I can hit enter. And then enter again on my calculator, and there's your answer, 91 over 125. If you guys still have a calculator from middle school, it's the TI-30X2. There's a F to D button that you can use there above your PRB. I'm guessing there's going to be several of you that are going to be using that middle school calculator here to start the school year, which is no issue at all. So we will make sure to explain both methods here early on. Dividing a fraction, the mathematical way to do this is you take your first fraction and you take the reciprocal of the second fraction. If you're using a calculator, you simply are going to take parentheses, 3/4 parenthesis divided by, what was it, 7/8. Got to make sure we use parentheses here. 7/8. So to make my fractions, I'm using the division key. And then there's my answer as a decimal. If I want to convert that decimal to a fraction, I can do that. So 0.857 or the fraction 6/7. If I never specify fraction decimal on a test or quiz, I will take either answer. So doing this by hand is actually 24 over 28, which reduces to, like we said, 6/7. Last one here was the easiest, 0.35 to a percent. When I convert a decimal to a percent, I'm going to take that decimal point, I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. 0.35 is the same as 35%. If at any time throughout this year, if we have any questions, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to answer questions with my virtual learners, whether we're going to set up a Google Meet, or we can email questions back and forth, or inside Polaris in a discussion board format. But if anytime you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. So let's convert a decimal to a percent, and then another decimal a fraction to a percent and a decimal to a percent. So when I have the fraction 2/5 and I want to convert that to a percent, the first thing I'm going to do in my calculator is take 2 divided by 5. You're going to see the answer 0.4 or 0.40. To then convert that to a percent, I move that decimal 2 places and I get a percent of 40%. I'm working on the stylus here and how to write, so if I look like I'm writing like an elementary school student, I apologize. I'm hoping to get better at this stylus. 0.28 into a percent, a little bit easier. You move that 2 places to the right, and I get an answer of 28%. So why don't you take a minute here and try these two on your own, same idea. So just take 30 seconds, pause this video, and answer these two. All right, 4/9 into a percent. You're going to take 4 divided by 9 to convert that decimal, and that's going to be 0.444. So to convert that to a percent, I move that decimal 2 places, and I get the answer 44.4%. Down here, move it 2 places, and I get 57.8%. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to turn 65% into a decimal. So I'm going to take my decimal, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to move it 2 to the left. So that would be 0.65. Down here we have 112, so I do the same thing. I move that decimal 2 places to the left, and I get 1.12. 112% is 1.12 as a decimal. So now let's do some word problems to combine these topics. So I have a $50 pair of shoes, and it went for sale at a 20% off price. So to find 20% of $50, I'm going to take $50 times 20%, or I can change that to the decimal 2.20, make it a little easier to do in your calculator, and that is going to equal $10. $10 is what I'm saving, so when I take $50 minus the $10, that is going to equal $40 for that pair of shoes. But there's a shortcut for this problem. If I'm saving 20%, that means on my $50 pair of shoes, I'm only paying 80%. So if I took my $50 and multiplied it by 0.80, because I'm going to move that decimal point 2 places to the left, if you put that in your calculator, 50 times 0.80, you're going to see you're going to get the exact same answer. Just could save you a little bit of time if you think about it in that sense. And I'm going to do another example here with the same mindset. I have a set of tires that I'm going to get for 40% off. How much is he going to pay for $530 tires? If I'm getting 40% off, that means that I'm only paying 60%. So I take 530 times 0.60, put that in your calculator, and I get $318 for those tires. If you wanted to do it the other method and take 40% and then subtract it, you're going to end up with the exact same answer. Now we're going to take the percentage and we're going to add it to the price. So I have $52 in supplies, and there is a 7% sales tax. So 7% is the same as 0.07. I move the decimal point 2 places to the right to get 70%. So $52 times 0.07 tells me that I'm going to pay $3.64 in taxes. So if I add 364 to 52, I get 55.64. Now, there's a shortcut here. If I take that same $52, and if I'm paying an extra 7%, that means I'm actually going to be paying 100. Write that as a money sign. I'm actually going to pay 107%. So if I took $52 times 1.07, that's my 107%. As a decimal, I'm going to get the exact same answer. If I'm confusing you and you understand that first way, do it that way. Don't let my different methods confuse you. I'm just showing multiple ways to do the same problem. That happens a lot in math. You can do things multiple different ways to get the same exact answer. So why don't you guys try this one on your own? $220,000 Lamborghini. You can see that car down here in the bottom. Let me see if I can pull that up here a little bit. Awesome looking car, very expensive car. So go ahead. $220,000 standard Ohio sales tax, 6.5%. What's the total after tax? All right, so let's figure this out. So we have 220,000, 1.65% tells me I'm going to pay 106.5% total. I'm going to do the shortcut method. Move that decimal 2 places. So I'm going to multiply this by 1.065. So I'll get my calculator out. I'm going to do 220,000 times 1.065. And my total amount is $234,300. If you wanted to take 220, multiply it by 6.5%, and then add it on, you're going to get the exact same answer. So that'll conclude today's lesson. We're going to stop there. Please let me know if you have any questions, but that's a nice, I hope, easier way to ease into this school year. I promise I'll get better at these recordings and my writing, but this was my first official recording, so please let me know if you have any questions or if anything is unclear.